Pope Leo XIV began his second day in Turkey early this morning in the heart of Istanbul, where he was greeted by joyful shouts of Papa Leo from Turkey's small but vibrant Catholic community. Inside the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, clergy, religious and lay faithful packed the pews, praying with the Holy Father. Over the last century, the Catholic population in Turkey has dropped from an estimated 20% to less than 0.05% of the population. And in his speech, Pope Leo encouraged them to see their small numbers not as a weakness, but as a strength, and to never lose hope. He reminded them that the Christian mission was not, quote, rooted in influence, but in humble service. He also said that one of the areas in which he saw hope in Turkey was the number of young people who he said were, quote, coming and knocking and asking questions. He praised the Church's outreach to migrants and refugees, calling it one of the most powerful Christian witnesses in Turkey today. The gathering concluded with the Pope praying the Our Father in Latin, a moment many described as deeply moving. From there, Pope Leo travelled across the city to visit a care home for the elderly run by the Little Sisters of the Poor. And speaking in the small chapel, he warned that in many places today, respect for the elderly had been lost. He added that the elderly are the wisdom of a people. He said a treasure for families and society as a whole. The Pope spent time then greeting the residents one by one before leading everyone in a Hail Mary. At midday, Pope Leo boarded a helicopter for a 30-minute flight to the ancient city of Iznik, the location of the Council of Nicaea 1700 years ago. As he arrived, the Muslim call to prayer echoed from a nearby mosque. And on the lakeshore, under a heavy police presence following a small protest earlier that day, the Pope had the most powerful meeting of his entire trip to Turkey. Standing with the ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew, who is seen as the most influential spiritual leader for all the Eastern churches, Pope Leo called the divisions among Christians a scandal that history has tolerated for far too long. He said, quote, humanity, afflicted by violence and conflict, is crying out for reconciliation. We must strongly reject the use of religion to justify war, violence, or any form of fanaticism. He also said that what was at stake at Nicaea 1700 years ago is still at stake today. That is the belief in Jesus Christ as the real God, and not just, as he said, a charismatic leader, a superman, a misrepresentation that ultimately leads to sadness and confusion. Pope Leo will continue his ecumenical meetings tomorrow here in Istanbul, including a visit to the historic Blue Mosque before celebrating Mass at the city's Volkswagen Arena. On Sunday, he will depart for Lebanon. Reporting tonight from Istanbul, Colm Flynn for EWTN News.